right, we are live. Hi, my name is Stacy Neustadt. I'm the CEO at Making Sense of Autism, and I am a speech language pathologist. And this is Susan Golubach. She is our founder at Making Sense of Autism. She is the brains, like literally the brains behind our framework, neuro strength-based support for autism. And she is an autistic retired occupational therapist. So not only does she bring her professional experience of being an occupational therapist, she brings her personal experience of being an autistic individual who had to teach herself many of the skills that we as therapists try to support our students. So thank you, Susan, for hopping on. I'm glad we finally made this work.
Me too. Thanks, Stacy.
So today is our first Q&A, because if you follow us on YouTube, you'll see that every week I ask Susan a question and she answers. And we wanted to provide you with the opportunity to ask her questions as well. So if you're live right now with us, just make comments below and we will answer your questions. So to get started, I wanted to pose a question that I frequently hear from other therapists, and it's, how can I identify what truly motivates my autistic clients, especially when they're non-speaking or less expressive?
It's not really hard to identify what motivates anyone. It's what they choose to do when they're allowed to choose what they want to do. Leisure time activities. If the child heads to the playground, they need and want and are motivated by movement. If they look on the internet and they're looking about dinosaurs, or they love to talk about dinosaurs, anything they initiate on their own is what's motivating to them. So it doesn't require language. You don't have to ask them. You just have to watch.
That is so true. And I have a great story to add to this. It's a client that I see in early intervention. He's definitely an emerging communicator, both with his AAC device and with oral speech. And this is a really, I don't think I've ever seen this case before, or maybe I just didn't observe it and was aware before. But this kiddo is motivated by humor. So even mom told me today that when he is dysregulated, if she brings out humor and they act silly, boom, he is out of that dysregulation. And he has learned so much vocabulary and how to navigate his AAC device because he loves to be silly. And he'll even initiate it, whether it's being silly about what they're eating or being silly about feeling and emotion words. So that is a great suggestion, is just observe. Mm-hmm. And that's where you kind of have to be a detective. Awesome.
Yeah, it's building on their strengths, which is what it is they know how to do and love doing.
Yes, definitely. All right, so I've got one more question for you. What are effective ways to determine if a behavior is a form of communication, sensory need, or frustration? I know this is a big topic because communication is, or behavior is communication, but which one, how do we figure out which one it is?
And this is, again, where you're going to have to be observant about what triggered that behavior. So the environment, because of sensory issues, can trigger it. My dog licking will trigger me to get tense and irritable, because I don't like that just that little sound, that clicking sound of the licking. So what bothers you, you're going to ignore, and you may not notice, but make a note of what is going on in the environment, even though it's not something that you think would trigger a behavior. But you're going to start to see a pattern. When you see that behavior, It's related to something. There's always a trigger. Behaviors don't come. Now, I have to admit, a thought be a trigger. What's going on inside his mind? A memory of a past event, or anxiety, something happening in the environment that makes him anxious. Um, and it may be the anticipation of something you've said that leads him to believe something's going to happen that he doesn't know how to deal with. That can trigger it. So it really is a matter of playing detective when he can't communicate what's going on. But my suggestion is there is a trigger, whether it's in his head or it's from the environment or something you did. The best way to diffuse it is to get out of that situation. Move to another area. Ask him, let's go to your room. I can see you're stressed. Let's go to your room. Give him time to de-stress in an environment you know is under their control or your control. And once they're calm, you may be able to make a list. Was it the dog licking? Was it something I said? Using yes or no answers so that they don't have to process the words to explain, because that's, again, another challenge for an autistic that's going to create anxiety, is coming up with the words. But they'll we can recognize the answer, whereas we can't recall it. So asking yes or no questions, playing the guessing game of, could it be this that made you anxious or upset, will help you to find the answers.
I love that. And so, again, and we talk about this a lot, everyone's got to be in a calm state. You've got to be in a calm state. They have to be in a calm state. And then you're problem solving. You're figuring out what the trigger was. Was it a sensory thing? Was it frustration? And then I find a lot of times parents start to pick up on patterns. Oh, this is going to trigger him every time. Or this, when they start to do this, I know that's a sensory need. So again, you're becoming kind of a detective to pick up on those patterns of what is going on.
And besides, if you problem solve, now you're giving them the words that they can use the next time. Give them that key word that, oh, dog licking or licking. And if that's it, give them the key word. Well, just next time, let me know, licking. And reemphasize, give them that word and repeat it, that when this happens, here's how you can tell me. One word or a gesture, whatever it takes, that you agree you will now know. Give them a chance to be able to express it, so that you're not the only one that has to play detective. Other people will know, and he can advocate for himself more effectively the next time with other people.
And I love that you gave the example of what someone should say. And this is why our foundation is understanding how the autistic brain works, because you thought of the word licking. My brain went to don't like or some other abstract word of what I would say. And this, again, this is why our foundation to our framework is understand the autistic brain. So keep that in mind. And what I've learned from you is the word licking would be much better because it's concrete. It's the situation. It is what happens. So awesome. Cool. Yay. Thank you for answering these questions today. I hope everyone gets a little bit of extra tidbit from your answers in these questions. If you are new to making sense of autism, we do have a Facebook group called Ask Miss Susan About Autism. And these are the kinds of questions that you can pose, and Susan can answer them, or other people in the group can answer them. Be sure to follow our YouTube channel, join our group, because we've got some really, really exciting things coming in December. So be sure to get on our email, follow us, because you'll be excited to hear about the trainings that we have coming up. All right. Thank you so much. It's exciting that we were able to do this today.
Okay, thank you, Stacy, for organizing this.
Absolutely.